Greetings. Do without wilt should be the whole of the law. I'm Lexi Eve, and this is going to be part meditation and a part commentary on a very easy to do meditation that I'll guide you through called the circulation of light. So I'm going to run through it. There will be a timestamp in the description below if you want to see the explanation first. Otherwise, right now, I'm going to go straight into the guided meditation. So get ready for that. Okay, so I recommend sitting up in an upright posture. I don't really recommend standing for this practice, nor kneeling. I tend to find sitting the best way to go about it. So start by doing the LBRP, Lesser Banishing Ritual of the Pentagram, and Hexagram if you want. If you're feeling a little spicy, do the Star Ruby. So you could pause the video, do that now, and then come back.
I just wanted to see the water.
Now that that's complete, sit in the upright posture and start by closing your eyes. I'll be doing this along with you. So we'll do 3 rounds of the fourfold breath just to connect and get ourselves into a nice breathing synchronization with the body and to regulate the heartbeat. So let's breathe in. Pause. Breathe out, clearing the lungs completely. Pause. Breathe in. Feel your chest expand. Pause. Breathe out slowly, resisting the urge to just gasp in breath. Pause. And breathe in, last round. Pause. Breathe out. And pause. Now, still with your eyes closed, let your breathing pattern remain somewhat on par with that. Doesn't have to be exactly a fourfold count, but try to maintain the breathing in, pause, slowly breathe out, pause, and then very slowly, without just gasping in air, breathe in slowly, pause, and so on. Now, while you're doing this, I want you to visualize yourself with your eyes closed, in your upright seated posture, seated upon a giant sphere of light the size of the earth. So take a few seconds, and you might do that from a first perspective or a third perspective. You might, in your mind's eye, zoom out from your body and see yourself opaque, your bodily form, with your feet connected to this giant, bright sphere of white light the size of the earth. Now, once you have this visual of yourself on this sphere of light, I want you to keep breathing in, and with the breathing in and the breathing out, I want you to take energy from this sphere of light into your feet, and very slowly let's make it rise upward through the legs, through the torso, through your arms, the neck, the head, and then all the way up into Kether, a sphere of light above your head, 6 inches in diameter, floating 6 inches above the head. So let's focus on the breath and this sphere of light. And as we breathe in, light slowly starts to trickle into the soles of the feet. And then we pause, start to feel this light in your feet, breathe out, and the light continues up towards the ankles and the calves. And then as you breathe in, the light continues to rise upwards. Feel its warmth, its heat, as it ascends up to your knees. Keep breathing in and out and pausing, and see the light continue to rise up through your thighs, towards the hips. Feel it as a tingling energy warm and bright within you, illuminating you from within. It continues to rise up slowly through your midsection to your chest. Starts to radiate out into your arms and down towards your hands. You may feel tingling sensations as it's first entering into the new parts of the body in your hands. And it continues to rise up to the neck. And now pull a little bit more through your feet, a little bit quicker. And this light culminates in your cranium, in your head. And on the next breath in, it's going to rush up into the sphere of Kether. Ready? And see the sphere of light floating above your head. Now, put all of your attention upon this sphere, and I want you to make it spin. It should look almost like a lighthouse, with the light spinning round and round. Not too fast, but at a nice healthy pace. You might make it go in a clockwise motion, sitting above your head spinning. Now, I want you to take control of this sphere of light. I want you to slowly begin to move it in a clockwise circular motion around your head. We're going to go slow. So let's begin. Let's move this sphere of light, fully illuminated from the globe of light that we're sitting on. Let's start with the forehead and slowly rotate it clockwise towards your right, towards the right side of your forehead, and slowly down and back towards the middle of the back of your head, and feel it touching you. And then around towards the left ear. And now let's get a nice motion around the head once or twice, and it slowly descends down, maneuvering around the head. Feel it hit your chin and caress your cheeks. And then let's bring it down to the neck, and it spins around your neck area. Still going clockwise. Just do 2 or 3 rotations around the neck. And I want you to feel it cleansing your skin, making you warm, removing any negativity and darkness, banishing them from your being. And now let's move it down the left shoulder in a clockwise motion. It's going to slowly descend down your bicep towards the elbow. And it goes around the tricep, around the bicep in a clockwise motion, down towards the elbow from the left shoulder. And then slowly it maneuvers down around your left forearm, and then around your left hand. Normally I keep my hands on my knees, and this light could actually go through my body as it's circling around my hands, or you might feel that you want to lift your hand up to give it room to move around your hand so it's not interfering with your thigh just yet. And so now that it should be around the area of your fingers in a clockwise motion, let's slowly make it ascend back up the forearm, moving around all sides of it. Make many rotations back up towards the elbow, and then back up the bicep and the tricep, slowly in a circular motion back towards the shoulder. And then when it gets to the left shoulder, let's bring it around the chest over to the right shoulder. And we're going to do the same thing in a circular clockwise motion. It begins to descend down the bicep, going around and around the bicep and tricep on the right arm towards the right elbow. And then very slowly down the forearm. You should feel it maneuvering around your wrist. It should be almost like a pleasant tingling sensation, and around your hands, the fingers, to the tips. And see it in your mind's eye. And now let's make it ascend back up, round and around the forearm, around the bicep and tricep, around the shoulder. And now, once it gets back up to the shoulder, we're going to move it around the chest, around the torso, and I'm going to bring it down. Bring it down towards the stomach, around the back. And it goes nice and slow in a comfortable pace around and around your midsection, touching all of your skin, all areas. down towards the pelvic area. And you could focus on the buttocks and the genital area for a little bit. And in fact, if you were doing some sex magic, you would focus for quite a bit on this area to stimulate it and to bring a cleansing energy into it, to activate that area of your body of light. But for now, let's go down the thigh on the left side, around and around the front and the back. Many spirals around the leg, towards the knee, and then slowly down the calf and the shin. Keep bringing it around, and you might lose visuals of it at times. If you notice that, just bring your mind back to what you're doing. Make it appear in your mind's eye where it last was, the sphere of light, and let's keep moving down towards the ankle and the foot. And once it gets all the way around your toes, we're going to bring it back up, around the calf and the shin, towards the knee. Many slow, comfortable rotations, warming you, energizing your leg. And when it gets back up to the hip, in a few seconds, let's bring it down and around the other leg, starting at the thigh. Let's spiral around the right leg, towards the knee, and then down towards the calf and shin. Feel it caressing your leg, towards the foot. Very good. And then once it hits the toes, give it a spiral down there, and then slowly make it ascend back up your right leg. Around the foot, around the ankle, around the shin and calf multiple times, towards the knee, around the thigh, and back up towards the hips. And now let's bring it around the waist, back up, towards the back, towards the stomach, towards the abs and the back, towards the chest and the back. Keep it rotating around your body, back up towards the neck, around the head, and now bring it above your head again. Once we have the sphere of light locked above the head, floating there, we're going to shrink it down to the size of a golf ball. So do that now. See this sphere of light from 6 inches shrink to the size of a golf ball. And now bring it down into your head, directly through the top of your crown. First, what we're going to do is make it spiral in a clockwise motion straight down our spinal column very slowly. So around the brain, around the cerebellum, around the neck area of the spinal cord, continuing down the spinal cord towards the heart, towards the stomach, down towards the Muladhara chakra and the Svadhisthana, and see it hit the tip of the spine and let it spiral at the tip of the spine for a moment, touching all the sides, this golf ball sized sphere of bright, white, brilliant light. And then we'll bring it back up the spinal column. And all the way back up to the head. And when it gets to the cranium, let's go the inside of the skin in all areas. And if you notice any dark patches or patches that are dense, focus for an extra second or two and use the sphere of light to clear away that darkness, almost like a black smoke or sludge. It's like taking a Brillo pad of light to the interior of your body. So let's start with the inside of the head, around the eyes, the nose, down towards the chin, and then down the neck, slowly in a spiral clockwise motion. And then we're going to do the inside of the left shoulder, down the left bicep and tricep, touching all of the inside of your physical body with this small sphere of light, towards the elbow, down the forearm, towards the hand. Sometimes it gets stuck in one of the arms and you have to give it a little push, or sometimes it doesn't want to go down all the way through the fingertips. I've noticed if you do this on a daily basis, that goes away. But just persist until you could get it to go through. It's almost like it's clearing away any blockage in that area of your body. So once it's in the hand, in the fingers, bring it back up the forearm, inside of the elbow, inside of the bicep and tricep, in a clockwise motion, back up to the shoulder, And then bring it to the right shoulder. And same thing. Inside of the shoulder, inside of the bicep and tricep, moving down towards the elbow, the inside of the forearm, the wrist, the hand, the fingers, and then back up. The hand, the wrist, the forearm, the elbow, the bicep, tricep, the shoulder. And now we're going to do the torso, starting with the chest. Clockwise motion, touch all of the interior skin and muscle inside of your body. So a few big circular motions with this golf ball down towards the heart. You might pay special attention to the heart if it pleases you. Feel it touch your back, your chest, now your sternum, and then the lower back, which tends to be a place of tension for me. And sometimes I have to force this process to go down the back towards the buttocks. Feel it in your abdomen, the lower abs, the pubis. And now the buttocks on the left side, and then we're going to do the inner left leg. All the way down the thigh on the inside. See it spiral on the inside. You could feel it there. Feel it in your knee, spiraling in a clockwise motion. Down the inside of the calf and shin, down towards the ankle, and clockwise in the left foot, and then back up. Take about 5 or 10 seconds and get it slowly to go through the calf and shin, all the way back up through the thigh, to the left hip. And when you're there, we're going to do the right leg. See it spiral back up to the left hip. And now down the right thigh. And same process, just clean the inside out. Any darkness, let it be expunged with the sphere of light towards the knee, the calf, the shin, the ankle, the inside of your foot, all the way to the toes. Nice and slow, there's no need to rush it. And once you're in the foot, and let's go back up from the ankle and the shin towards the knee, to the thigh, back to the pelvic area. And now up the abdomens towards the sternum slowly. And now we're going to go up the chest, the throat, the inside of the head, the chin, the nose, back of the head, back up towards the crown. And then let the sphere of light come back up above your head and return to 6 inches in diameter. And let it sit there. And now we're going to lock it in place with 3 arms. Ready? And last one to lock it in place firmly. This concludes the circulation of light practice. You can open your eyes and just feel your body for a second. And now I'm going to go into a quick talk on what this is all about from my perspective and my experience with it. All right, so that was the circulation of light. I did it myself along with whoever participated, assuming you weren't just listening along to the meditation. I apologize if there was any background noise. I've recorded that at Battery Park as I was waiting for a friend. I had about an hour to kill, and I've been wanting to do a quick talk on this exercise anyway. So that being said, let me break down what's going on here. This is a favorite of mine because it was something I worked on at the very beginning of my student-teacher relationship with my teacher, William Allen Wheeler. And one of the first practices he gave me was the circulation of light. And it's useful in multiple ways. One, on a visualization, just the power of disciplining the mind to focus upon one task at hand and to be able to create images in the mind. That's like the fundamental first step in magic. Now, at the beginning of it, when you're visualizing yourself seated on a giant sphere of light, that discipline of the mind, like I said, is very important, but it goes right into a second point, and that is moving energy, both externally and internally. So in this practice, you begin by taking energy through your breath up into you from the earth, seeing the light of the earth and drawing it up into you. And by doing this, you're slowly raising it up until it hits the sphere of Kether. Now, what I liked about this practice at the very beginning when I started is that you're using Kether almost like a Brillo pad. And to date, I haven't seen any other practices that move a sphere of light. I've seen like middle pillar and other visualizations that channel energy upwards. I've seen Kundalini practices that do something very similar. But actually taking the light of Kether and using the light of Kether that was charged by the earth, so it's like the highest and lowest, above and below, connecting them in a very unique way, and then taking that sphere of light, the highest point of one's being, and using it to cleanse yourself, I think is just a pretty interesting and unique ideology. Now, this is like a very beginning basic practice. I did it very slow because I wanted people to be able to follow along as I'm guiding the meditation. That said, when I do it now on my own, it's actually only about like 7 or 8 minutes at the most. If I take my time, it could be like 5 or 6 minutes. If I rush it along, I'll do my LBRP, set up my circle, and then instead of doing a middle pillar, I generally opt for this because it's quicker and it's just as effective. And I really like that about it. It's almost a time saver. If you get more in depth with this practice, you could use it for several other things. One, like I mentioned during the meditation, you could stimulate certain parts of the body. You can do this, say, for healing. If you have bodily trauma, let's say a broken bone that's mending or sore muscles from exercising, you could use the circulation of light, taking that sphere and focusing for an extensive amount of time on whatever area of the body needs mending. This could also go for emotional healing upon the mind, or if you connect a part of the mind to a certain chakra or a certain internal part of the body, an energy center, you could focus on healing that bodily emotional center as well. Also, like I said, for sex magic, you could use it to stimulate that area of Yesod by circulating it around for an extensive period of time before continuing on with either a solitary or with a partner or some type of sex magic. I find that to be very useful, stimulating the genital area. Then there's a practice by Crowley, Liber Batraco Freno Buco Cosmomachia, subfigura 536. I'm sure I butchered that name, but it's Liber 536 that I'm thinking of. So in that practice, you do many different visualizations, and by the end of this long practice, it could take a year or a couple of years if you're doing it appropriately or following the instructions exactly. The end of it, you visualize the whole solar system and your relation to it from the sun's point of view. So you're aligning yourself with solar consciousness. I bring that practice up because with the circulation of light, if you've done Liber 536 to any degree, you can also add that type of practice to the circulation of light, and you could start to incorporate planetary energies. I'll explain that very briefly. So you could begin by sitting on the sphere of light and taking that energy up into you. Or if you've done the greater hexagram ritual at all and you've practiced with that and you've become familiarized with the feel of planetary energies, or if you've been doing invocations of certain gods that correspond heavily, such as the Roman pantheon where Saturn is Saturn, right? Venus is Venus. Or if you're using the Greeks, right? You could use Eros, or you could use Aphrodite for love or for Venus. many different deities that correspond with a certain planet. So as long as you're familiar with the planetary energies, using a hexagram type feel where you're drawing a fifth hexagram in wherever the planet is in the sky in relation to the Earth. So there's an app that I use on Android called Sky Map, and what I like about it, I'm sure that there's a Apple version as well, but on Android, Sky Map, you can actually isolate either the planets or the zodiac signs or multiple different constellations or planetary bodies. And using your phone, it will tell you exactly where in a three-dimensional 360 degree from where you are, where each planet is and where each zodiacal sign is from the Earth. So if you're doing the greater hexagram ritual, how I normally do it is I'll draw the 4 hexagrams in the 4 quarters, and I'll draw a 5th hexagram exactly where the planet is. So let's say the planet Mercury happens to be east-south or southeast, but it's a little bit up, right? I'll draw a hexagram almost like if you know the cube of space at like the top corner, somewhere in that general vicinity, and I'll use the app to see exactly where it is. So I'll draw a hexagram placed right over where that planet or zodiacal sign is in the night sky. So I would suggest with the circulation of light, locating the planet that you want to work with or multiple planets that you want to work with, and first visualizing yourself seated on a sphere of light. And instead of taking the energy just from your feet, you then visualize exactly where, let's say Mercury again, you want to work with the mercurial type energy, let's say for healing. That would be good. You can visualize the planet Mercury exactly where it is in the night sky in relation to the Earth and connect a beam of light. I generally use either my third eye or my heart chakra. You could go crazier and use the sphere of Hod on your body, right? Which would be your right hip approximately. So you could visualize a sphere of orange light at your right hip and connect a orange beam of light, a thin beam of light that connects with the planet Mercury directly to your hip where Hod is, and start to take in the energy from the planet Mercury through that magical link, literally like a magical link, right? And start to siphon that energy into your body and allow that energy to rise up. And then it would be the same principle. Allow that energy to fill your whole internal body all the way until it reaches Kether, and then use Kether to cleanse yourself. There's also different practices that I've done from William that start out with the circulation of light, and you can invoke certain deities or angels. We use them a lot for. So let's say the 4 archangels. You do some type of elaborate ceremonial magic to bring the archangels to your temple, and then you perform the circulation of light first on yourself and then on the actual entities that you've called into your temple space that you're interacting with. And then after the sphere has interacted with those entities, you could then again cleanse your internal external body, and you're now interacting with these entities in a much more interpersonal way, and actually taking their spiritual energy, cleansing them, and then using their cleansed light to again touch your internal body of light. And I think it's a very unique experience. Then just briefly, the closing Om. You're kind of just using the word of creation, the beginning, to end a phase, end this little meditation, lock this sphere back in place so that you're not losing energy or allowing things to get unbalanced. You're putting it back where it's supposed to be. You're locking it in place, and you're ending the practice, and you're going on to the rest of your life. You're starting something anew from that point in time. So that's the general premise of what's happening in the circulation of light. Again, even though it was 18 minutes there, in the guided meditation, it could really just be like 5 to 8 minutes. So it's, for me, a lot quicker than most other visual meditations, yet just as effective once you get a good hang on it. And then, like I said, you could be very creative with it, and you could start to work with planetary energies, or you could take that sphere of light and do certain stimulations, whether it's for healing, whether it's for sex magic, or whatever you would like to put that highest light where all manifestation comes from, wherever you'd like to put that creation towards in your own magical life, your own magical workings, that's completely up to you. And it's the only limit is your own imagination in that scenario. So this, like I said, hopefully is just a brief commentary on what's going on in this meditation. I hope that you enjoyed it, and love is the law, love under will. Cheers.